while he was at Georgetown Prep. Apparently a self-made man who got his way into Yale, working on his tail off as if his grandfather didn't go there. But that's besides the point. I'm not even here to talk about that. As I'm recording this, it is incredibly likely that that Judge Kavanaugh is going to be affirmed and will be officially nominated and officially become an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, which means a lot of really bad fucking things. I want to start just real quickly, just off the top, real quickly, and talk about the fact, like, yes, I am a Canadian, and this is American politics. Can we just talk about that for just 1 second? Because I've heard from many different people, some of whom mean all of the best things that they possibly could mean about it. Others are coming from a completely awful and cynical point of view that, like, oh, we've got our problems over here, and, you know, don't be paying attention to them, and we got our problems here, and there's so many problems here, and we, you know, maybe we should be a little bit more like the United States. I just... Here's what I have to say about this. My empathy does not stop at the border. My giving a shit about the people that I care about who live in the United States, whose lives are going to be dangerously affected by this piece of garbage of a human being for many years to come, because the man is 53 years old and he's getting a lifetime appointment to the courts. He's incredibly conservative. He's going to vote to overturn Roe as soon as he possibly fucking can. He's going to side on the side of that Donald Trump doesn't have to be subpoenaed, despite the fact that he one need look no further than how he was dealing with the Clinton investigation back in the 90s to see what his opinions on that actually are when you take it to a Democrat rather than a Republican. Like, this guy is just garbage. And like, there are so many people who I care about in my life whose lives are going to be negatively affected by this man for years to come. So yeah, it's American politics, but quite frankly, American politics have an effect on the entire fucking world. That's how a global fucking village works. And quite frankly, despite what the alt-right and you know, certain conservative movements in the world want you to believe, globalism is kind of here to stay, and it's kind of important. You know what? Like walling yourself off from the rest of the world doesn't really work out that well. And quite frankly, like, globalism and like is here to stay because, like, frankly, we trade with each other all the fucking time. So I'm getting worked up here, and I haven't even gotten into the actual substance of the rant. The point of it, the point that I'm trying to make here is, I'm going to care about this because it's important news and it's important people who I care about. And just frankly, no justice, no peace. Whew. On the subject of the actual nomination, at this point, because of course I'm recording in the past, this is how these things work. Judge Kavanaugh is presumed to be confirmed by a likely vote of 51 to 49. 0 senators currently on the fence. Now you may be thinking that 51 to 49, that's actually not that bad, you know, like that's basically what the breakdown is in the House at the moment. So why are you getting worked up? I'm getting worked up because this would be a 50-50 vote. I'm not concerned so much about Jeff Flake. I'm not so concerned about Susan Collins siding with the Republican Party on this one. Kudos, I will say, to Lisa Murkowski, Republican senator from Alaska, for voting what I have to admit, I have to guess, is her actual conscience on this and not just falling in line with her party. What I'm coming down on here is Joe fucking Manchin. Democratic senator for West Virginia, Joe fucking Manchin. Joe Manchin, who I have to assume is not intending on running again in the future. Joe Manchin, who I have to assume isn't concerned about being primaried the next time around that he has to face a general election. Joe Manchin. I have to assume that Joe Manchin is following some sort of political consultancy in Washington, D.C., who's not giving him good advice because, quite frankly, Joe Manchin is going to lose the Democratic base, the the excitement of the Democratic base that has brought forward who is elected a senator in fucking Alabama, the Democratic base who has brought forward the likes of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Joe Manchin just doesn't seem to give a shit about that and doesn't seem to see the actual rising tide. It doesn't actually seem to understand what the principles of the Democratic Party kind of are. Instead, he seems to be voting to affirm or to confirm rather Judge Kavanaugh based on some sort of political math that states that you have to appear to be bipartisan in these sorts of deals, and you have to appear to put aside petty politics in order to blah 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 with the thing. These aren't fucking petty politics, Joe Manchin. These are the fucking things. Like, I want someone to be running ads day and fucking night against him in this next election. Frankly, the Democrats should give up that seat. They should give up that seat, and they should basically let the Republicans run fucking wild on Joe Manchin so that he can find out that you can vote in the GOP's Supreme Court nomination. But at the end of the fucking day, they're still going to run ads against you. They're still going to run ads against you for not being pro-gun enough. They're going to still run ads against you for not being pro-life enough. They're still going to run ads against you for not being anti-immigrant enough. Because frankly, they want that fucking R next to that seat. So you might as well act like a Democrat rather than act like a fucking Republican. Because if it comes down to it, the Republicans will take the chance to unseat you no matter fucking what. So you might as well act like a Democrat rather than a Republican, because frankly, acting like a Republican isn't going to get you anywhere with the Republicans unless you actually are one. And that's my 2 cents. Whew, we got 2 big rants out in the first 22 minutes of the show. I'm going to take a minute here. I'm going to relax. I'm going to calm down because it is a marathon, not a sprint, ladies and gentlemen. It is a marathon, not a sprint. After this, we'll get into some happier news. So, just realized that as I'm releasing this, it is the evening of Thanksgiving Day here in Canada, and of course in the United States. I guess you're celebrating, I don't know, some Italian dude who did something by accident, maybe. Anyhow, I hope you're having a good long week. I hope if you're celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving that you are enjoying your time, enjoying your turkey. The girlfriend and I did not do turkey. We did chicken. We did a whole roast chicken together, and I actually I had a transformative experience. Here's sort of the story as it happens. The girlfriend, I believe it was the girlfriend who came up. It was you who did you saw the you're just on the show now. The potatoes thing that I ended up doing. That was your Googling. You found it on Facebook.
It was on Bon Appetit. We were watching it together.
But with the putting the whole garlic in with the potatoes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so apparently it was on Bon Appetit, which is which is a magazine, but they have a YouTube channel that I enjoy quite a bit. And basically it was just putting whole cloves of garlic in with the mashed potatoes while they're boiling. And holy shit, you just mash them in with the potatoes when you're done. And I didn't even put normally what I would do is I'd put a little bit of blend or half and half, if you will, or even some high-ish fat milk, almost whole milk, and mash it in there with some butter. I just put butter in, salt and pepper. It was I still have some leftovers of these potatoes, guys, and it was the best mashed potatoes I have ever had in my life. It was a purely beautiful, transformative experience. We had that with the chicken. We had that with some carrots and some broccoli, some gravy, and it was just a solid meal. We ate it at like 10 o'clock at night because we're weird humans. But that was my Thanksgiving sort of experience. We did just a very chill Thanksgiving meal, just the two of us, and it was very, very lovely. I hope that you had a good Thanksgiving, whatever you did, or a good just holiday Monday if you're in the States, because you don't really do anything for Columbus Day, do you? Or I guess it's like anti-colonialism day now in some places that aren't New York. So that's cool. I hope you had a good day regardless. So what else has sort of been going on since we last chatted? The second season of Big Mouth is out. I have yet to watch it. That's Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. It's their animated thing. Also, like it's got like one of those absolutely insane casts, but like Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, kind of the two main characters there. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching that. Also, since we last chatted, the new season 5 of BoJack Horseman hit Netflix. My God, like that is probably my favorite show that's in current production right now. Probably a pretty close neck and neck sort of tie between that and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Of course, completely different in terms of their the itch that they scratch. But this might be my favorite season of the show. I, of course, binged it in all of a day and a half, as I do with BoJack Horseman. I try to pretend like I'm going to make it last, but really, realistically, it's gone in 2 days at the absolute most. It was probably my favorite season so far. Of course. I mean, if you haven't watched BoJack Horseman at all yet, of course, this is going to contain some spoilers for earlier seasons, but it is what it is. Watch the show. You should just be watching it. Diane's dealing with being a newly divorced woman is pretty fantastic. Pickles, the pug, is great and just lovely, and anybody who doesn't want good things for Pickles is a bad person in my book. This is certainly a season that gave where Will Arnett gave just a phenomenal performance, and in particular, there's one episode in particular I will not spoil when it comes in the season, and what leads to it, but that monologue, and if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about right now. That monologue is phenomenal. And it's a shame that it'll never get the Emmy that it deserves. But just one of the best moments in television, probably, that I can remember in a long time. Getting to sort of experience. It's one of those things, man. Like a new season of BoJack Horseman, and BoJack Horseman really does what it can to sort of play with the expectation of its audience, to play off of sort of the sitcom sort of tropes and really delve into something a lot deeper. It's kind of what that show does. You kind of start to think that they cannot possibly find a new way to innovate and a new way to create something memorable and new, but man, every single season they seem to find that episode, with the exception of the first season. But the first season was kind of just sort of setting things up, so in a way it was its own innovation. Anyhow, BoJack Horseman season 5, highly recommend. Like I said, probably my favorite season of the show yet. Oh, and big exciting sort of news, I guess. It's not really news at this point, just because we are a few episodes behind, or a few weeks behind here on the news. But whatever. The second season of Jack Whitehall's Travels with My Father hit Netflix. I wasn't expecting this at all, but if you've never seen it, it's like this British comedian, Jack Whitehall, with his 78-year-old dad. So Jack Whitehall is like a year older than me, so he's 31 or whatever, 30, 31. and I just aged myself by a year. He's 30, and he goes on these wild adventures